The polar ice caps are an area known to be cold and barren. However, in this case, there are people that have stopped by for a quick little visit. Lex and his Legion of Doom have launched satellites into space that will expand the glaciers. This will cause the water level of the Arctic Ocean to fall and allow them to control new islands of land that appear. Their plan is enacted, the ice begins to grow, and it looks like this plan might actually work. Little did they know that the Justice League is already there to stop them. Superman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Flash, Aquaman, Batman, and Robin all show up to thwart their evil plan. Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and Flash stay on the ground in order to stop Lex and the others from escaping while the rest head into space to destroy the satellites. Batman, Robin, Cyborg, and Superman are quickly plowing through the satellites, but Toyman and Bizarro show up to stop them from continuing. Robin, who has been left in the Batwing jet, flying on autopilot, sees the others in need of help and goes against his mentor's order to do so. Thankfully he did, because they are able to gain the upper hand again. The villains notice that they are no match for the heroes, and Captain Cold overloads one of the satellites, causing it to explode, crash down to Earth, and entomb Lex in a block of ice. The remaining Legion of Doom members flees, leaving both them and the Justice League to believe that Lex is finally gone. 1,000 years later, in a seemingly perfect futuristic city, two teenagers are meandering the halls of a Justice League museum. These 31st century rising heroes, Dawnstar and Karate Kid, are admiring a statue of Superman while listening to a recording about all of the League's achievements. Karate Kid begins to share his distaste for the fact that the older members don't think that the two of them are ready to be permanent members of the League. However, the female hero tries to remind him that the older members are wise and more prepared than they are. Therefore, they should trust their decisions and wait as they have been told to do. They continue on their self-guided tour of the museum and eventually reach a room that is ominous, to say the least. In the center of the room sits a giant block of ice, the same block that Lex is still trapped inside. There is a plaque in front of the villain that explains his entombed body wasn't found until the 29th century. The two are in awe of the villain, and Karate Kid takes it upon himself to boost his own ego. He tells his friend that he can see the weak spot in the ice, and with one punch he could crack it open. Yeah, because that will definitely get him in the League. Dawnstar begs for him to stop, and he pulls his punch in an instant, right before he makes contact with the ice. He brags about how skilled and disciplined he is, and the two depart from the room. What they don't notice is that the shockwave from Karate Kid's fake-out punch was enough to crush the ice and free Lex. Once he gets an understanding of what year it is and what happened to him, he sees the suits and weapons from his previous Legion members also on display before picking up a freeze ray and searching for an escape. While walking around the museum, he finds the Superman statue the two heroes were originally staring at, and an automated voice produces a hologram that shows the history of how the Kryptonian came to be a member of Earth. Dawnstar and Karate Kid are already in a separate room, looking at an hourglass that is capable of allowing the user to travel through time. In an instant, the two are frozen by Lex, and he frees the time trapper from the hourglass to allow him to travel back to the 21st century in order to control the world. Dawnstar is able to free herself and Karate Kid, and just before the portal closes, they follow the villain back in time. At the Legion of Doom headquarters, Solomon Grundy and Bizarro are sitting and discussing, rather grunting their sadness for the loss of their leader, Lex. Their sorrows have quickly vanished when Lex emerges from the time portal with the trapper in tow. He informs the two as well as Cheetah and Toyman of his plan to go even further back in time to stop Superman from forming the Justice League. He wants to travel to the little farm in Kansas where little baby Kal-El crash-landed and was adopted by the Kents. If he removes him from the picture, the Legion of Doom would have no one to stop them from total destruction. As this plan is being shared, Dawnstar and Karate Kid, who have now broken into the Hall of Justice, are fighting off Robin, who had been playing a game on the computer when they appeared. Some other members of the League show up, and they begin explaining their entire endeavor to Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, and Robin. Thanks to Diana's lasso of truth, they are able to quickly call the other members of the Justice League to convene at the Legion of Doom to try and thwart their plan. Flash is, of course, the first one to show up, and the rest quickly fall in right when Lex is opening his past portal to Kansas. He sends his 4 henchmen into the portal, followed by Aquaman, Cyborg, and Flash, while the others try to defeat the Time Trapper. When they arrive in Kansas, the villains find the Kent family first and convince them that it is their baby that they had found. They think that they are in the clear and that their plan to launch the super baby back into space will work, but the heroes swiftly show up and make it more difficult for them to do so. After an intense fight, Flash manages to steal back the baby and return him to the Kents before disappearing again. However, the fast-footed hero failed to realize that it wasn't baby Cal, but rather Toyman in disguise. At this moment, Solomon Grundy is able to put the baby back in his little spaceship and launch him into space. Regardless of the fact that the heroes lose this fight, the best part has to be Bizarro being constantly confused by everything happening around him. but still managing to win fights. Back in the 21st century, Superman begins to disappear while Lex cackles that his plan has worked. Soon enough, every hero has disappeared and the only ones left are Dawnstar and Karate Kid, who are hiding from the eyes of Lex. They escape and hide in a subway tunnel while trying to figure out how on earth they can stop the villains this time. Dawnstar remembers that the Time Trapper claimed that the heroes being there after the changing of the past was a paradox, and that caused them to disappear. She deduces that if they were to find Lex in the 21st century, then the future one would also have to disappear. The two quickly depart to the polar ice caps. Dawnstar uses her tracking ability to locate the area where Lex might be, but they run into a problem. Rather, three problems. Gorilla Grodd, Captain Cold, and Black Manta are in the same ice cave that they were in, also trying to locate Lex. Karate Kid begins to fight all three of them so Dawnstar can better locate the villain. She manages to pinpoint that he must be directly beneath them, and once again Karate Kid finds a weak spot and smashes the ice. After Lex wakes up, they rush back to the Legion of Doom's headquarters to see if the new Lex has disappeared. Of course, the Time Trapper notices that he is now a paradox in time and banishes him from that current timeline. However, this is probably worse than what the outcome would have been with Lex in charge, because the Time Trapper is now free from the confines of the hourglass and may do as he pleases. It just so happens that what he pleases is to surround the world in eternal darkness. With a final feeling of defeat, the two young heroes have no idea of what they can do to stop him without the help of other heroes. Their prayers are answered on the double when Superman and the other heroes reappear. Apparently, their original plan to find the present Lex had worked and returned the heroes to the correct timeline. They now have to find a way to defeat the Time Trapper from destroying the world, but are having a great amount of trouble doing so. With all of his dark magic, a squid is attacking a freight ship while Aquaman tries to fight it off. Flash is off somewhere running around a volcano to try and delay the eventual eruption, and Cyborg is using all of his strength to keep a bridge together so the people on it don't perish. Superman is the only one that is able to get close enough to the Time Trapper, because Wonder Woman was sent into the funnel cloud being formed in the sky, and Robin is doing his very best to hold Batman down so he doesn't have the same fate. The heroes are realizing that they are no match for the Grim Reaper-like villain, but Karate Kid notices one thing. While looking for a weak spot, he notices that the Trapper is made up entirely of dark matter, which means that Dawnstar is the only one who can stop him. Using her powers, Dawnstar overpowers the dark matter magician, which gives the heroes enough time to grab the hourglass and keep it out of his reach. Without the hourglass, he's weak and nearly powerless. The two futuristic teenagers tell them to flip over the hourglass, and the Time Trapper is trapped back inside and all of his damage is reversed. The teenagers are brought back to the Hall of Justice, where Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman tell them how proud they are of them. Karate Kid announces that he finally understands why he should wait until the League says he is ready to join, and that he has learned his lesson about being overconfident and impatient. With some sweet goodbyes, the two once again call upon the Time Trapper to help them return to the future. When they step through the portal, Superman states that he can't help feeling like he has forgotten something. Surprise, he did, and that something is the 21st century Lex, who has been aimlessly wandering around the polar ice caps. The villain is near frozen and honestly looks a little relieved when the Kryptonian shows up to bring him to prison. Superman fails to notice Gorilla Grodd, Black Manta, and Captain Cold still roaming around the ice caps also. They are about to panic about the arrest of their leader when the Primate speaks up. He states that he will now be the leader of the Legion of Doom. Therefore, they will actually take over the world. At the same time, the two teens have returned to the 31st century and are happy to be home. That is until they see that the Superman statue has been replaced by one of Lex. They smirk at each other with the knowledge that Superman said they were always welcome back before opening another portal to go fix whatever had been done.